Bitcoin, surging today and back to its highest price since April 14th. It is now back above 30,000. The rally being fueled by news in part that BlackRock applied for a spot Bitcoin ETF that is the first of its kind in the market. So Wall Street is sort of getting back deeper into the crypto game. This despite what appears to be sort of a crackdown by the SEC. How do we square it? For more on the story, is bringing crypto guru and tech investor Anthony Pompliano. He is the founder of Pomp Investments and the host of the Pomp podcast, which is not without circumstance. See what I did there, Anthony? Thanks for joining us. Your take. How big of a I'm a dad. It's a dad joke. How big of a deal is this BlackRock ETF?
Yeah, look, I think what's happening right here is everyone's heard of the space race, where a bunch of countries got together and they all tried to get to space first. But now what we're going to see is the great accumulation race. And what I mean by that is we have institutions and individuals all scrambling to try to get their share of the 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be in existence. The retail investor for 15 years now has had a head start, and they've accumulated all the Bitcoin that has been actually mined and put into circulation. But 68% of all of that Bitcoin in circulation hasn't moved in over a year. And so what that means is when Wall Street, people like BlackRock and other organizations that have now filed for these ETFs or other products, show up to the market and they want to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a highly illiquid asset, and these Bitcoiners don't want to sell to Wall Street. And so the only thing that can move when you have a fixed supply asset that's highly illiquid and there's a bunch of demand that comes into the market is the price has to go up. How long that takes is anyone's guess, but I think that's the big story here, is the great accumulation race is underway.
Let me flip it a little bit, Anthony, because we all know, I don't know how old you are, I'm not going to ask, it's not polite, but I'll tell you, I do know this now as a parent. Once the parents start getting involved in the cool stuff that their kids are doing, it is no longer cool. Parents start dressing like the kid, no way, change it up. It appears, Bitcoin was kind of always the decentralized future of money, kind of hard to understand for the uninitiated, the cool kids thing. Now, guess what? No offense to BlackRock, maybe the world's most boring company in some ways, is now adopting it. Does that hurt Bitcoin in any way from like a cool standpoint?
Yeah, look, I've always said that Bitcoin sits at this really unique area in finance. If I go and I talk to people on Wall Street and they own Bitcoin, they'll tell me Bitcoin is the riskiest asset in their portfolio. If I then go and I talk to kind of the crypto community and go and talk to people who are buying all sorts of crazy assets, they'll tell me that Bitcoin is boomer coin. It's the most boring thing that they have in their portfolio. And me personally, as an investor, that's where I want to sit. I want to have the riskiest asset in the conservative investor's portfolio, and I want to have the most conservative asset in the risk taker's portfolio. And so I think that BlackRock right now is realizing, if you just bought Bitcoin and held it since the start of the pandemic, you've outperformed almost every single hedge fund on Wall Street. You just Bitcoin and chill. And I tend to think that these investors, they're not going to go put 100% of their assets into Bitcoin. But what they are starting to say is, does this warrant a 1, 2, 3% allocation into a portfolio? And I think that that argument is becoming much more hard to ignore. And so what I think you're going to start seeing is that these large asset managers say we have to have a product in the market.
Well, 4 years ago, like almost to this week, I kind of gave a shout out. It wasn't endorsed, it was kind of a fake shout out to Litecoin. Right? You got Algorand, you got Solana, you got Dogecoin, you got Ether. How much are you in any of these ones? To your point, the more risky ones, the more gambling, not boring old Bitcoin in a way, but taking an investment risk down that crypto ladder, if you will, Anthony.
Bitcoin is the king. I don't think that's going to change. It's over 50% of the market today. Hash rate's at an all-time high. If you go and you look at wallet addresses with 0.1 Bitcoin or 1 full Bitcoin, it's hitting all-time highs. And I continue to think that Bitcoin is going to continue to prove to be the winner in this market. And so if you're somebody who's looking at the market, it's just like buying the S&P 500 index, right? You just want the boring thing that seems to keep compounding for a long period of time. And it's the timeless investing principle. Buy great assets and never sell them.
It's the king, and I'm going to quote the great poet philosopher Omar Little from The Wire. If you go after the king, better not miss. Anthony Pompliano, do appreciate it, my man. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.